Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So in today's video I'm doing another client tutorial, and I decided to do this beautiful silver black smoky eye on the amazing Brooklyn. So if you'd like to see how I created this look, then keep on watching. So to prime, I'm using the new Benefit Porefessional Matte Rescue Primer, and this consistency is more of a gel in comparison to the original Benefit Porefessional, like thicker consistency, and I'm just applying that with a stippling brush all over her face. So now I'm spraying her face with Fix Plus before foundation, and the foundation I'm using is the MAC Studio Fix Fluid in NC35, and then buffing that in with a damp beauty blender. So I only tend to use around 2 to 2.5 pumps on the average client unless they want a full coverage or their skin needs it. Usually people with more like acne prone skin or have blemishes, I tend to use 2.5 to 3 pumps, but because Brooklyn has amazing skin, I only used 2 pumps. So yeah, and then I'm just buffing that in with my damp beauty blender. So for concealer today, I decided to use something a bit different. So I used the Nars Radient Creamy Concealer in Custard, and this concealer is probably my favorite high-end concealer just because I love the colors, I love the way it blends and looks underneath the eyes. So yeah, I'm just putting that underneath her eyes and buffing that out with my damp beauty blender, and then I go on to putting it on her forehead, down the bridge of her nose, on her cupid's bow, and on her chin, and then also blending it out. And then I'm just taking a mini kabuki style brush and just using that to blend the concealer in the hard to reach places, like straight underneath the eye and in the tear duct area. And then to bake the concealer, I'm using my fave, which is the Mercier translucent powder, just on the same damp beauty blender. And then to set the rest of her face, I'm using the Australis Fresh and Flawless face powder in darkest brown. And then I'm going in with MAC Soft Ochre Paint Pot to prime her eyelids. And then after about a minute or so, I'm going in with a large powder brush and brushing off the excess powder from the bake. So to bronze and contour, I'm using my Hoola by Benefit bronzer, and I'm using that with a brush that it came with. It's absolutely amazing and definitely worth the price. So I'm just going in and popping that in the hollows of her cheekbones, and then later on I'm going to go in with the MAC 135 brush to bronze up her face a bit more, to blend everything all seamlessly together, put it around her temples, forehead, underneath her jaw, and then finally underneath her lip. And then I'm just lightly contouring her nose, just using a large kind of fluffy sort of brush. I'll leave the link down below where I got it from, but she doesn't really need much of a nose contour because her nose is already like narrow. So I just decided to keep it light. And then to bake her contour, I'm using the Mercier translucent powder again, just on an angled sponge, and yeah, just placing that straight underneath her contour. And then again, after a minute or so, I'm just using a stippling style brush to brush off the excess bake. So for blush, I use the Balm Cosmetics Hot Mama Blush, and I'm just placing that on the apples of her cheeks and bringing it out to the sides of her face, if that makes any sense at all. And then for highlighter, I'm using the Mercier Indiscretion, and I literally always forget that I have this, so I need to whip this out more often because it is beautiful. P.S. I'm so sorry if my head makes an appearance in the majority of this tutorial. I'm trying to figure out a way and an angle in which you can't really see my head in it. So yeah, I'm working on it. So for eyes, I'm using the Anastasia Beverly Hills Shadow Couture palette, and I'm firstly starting off with Soft Peach, and I'm just running that in her crease as a transition shade. And then grabbing the shade Morocco, and I'm also using that as a transition shade. I'm just using that in her crease with a large blending brush. So now I'm taking Chic, and I actually wet the brush with a little bit of Fix Plus just to intensify the shadow a bit more, and I'm just placing that on the inner corners of her eyes. Now I'm taking Fudge on the same blending brush as we used in the crease, and I'm just working that on the outer corners of her eyes. Also, just a tip, when you're applying dark shadows, make sure you don't go above the crease, because that's when it's going to look like you got punched in the face. So just make sure you keep the shadow underneath the crease. And yeah. And then I'm taking the matte black eyeshadow, which is called Noir, or Noir. How do you pronounce that?
Noir.
Noir. Okay, Noir. And I'm just going over the Fudge eyeshadow just to darken it up a bit. And then I'm just going in with Soft Peach slash Fudge slash a bit of everything and just blending it all together. Line Her Waterline, I'm using the Maybelline Eye Studio Gel Liner Pot, and I'm just using that with a Tarte eyeliner brush. And then to smoke out the lower lash line, I'm using Fudge, and I'm just using that with a eyeshadow packing brush from Zoeva. I'll leave it listed down below. Make sure when you smoke out the lower lash line, you go as close to the waterline as possible, because that's what's going to make the black in the waterline like smudge more and make it look smokier. And then I'm grabbing Noir, and I'm just using that on a more tapered sort of blending brush and just going and darkening the outer corner. So for mascara, I use the Benefit Roller Lash, and obviously I use disposable mascara wands. If you don't, and if you're a makeup artist, then I highly recommend that you buy them. They're really, really cheap off eBay. I'll leave a link down below, because if you don't, and your client before that has had conjunctivitis or whatever, and then you use that on your next client, then they will probably also get conjunctivitis, which is disgusting. So for lashes, I use the Model Rock lashes in the color, not the color, the style 212. And the glue that I used was the House of Lashes lash glue, of course, which is my fave. And then to line her lips, I'm using MAC Stone lip liner, and the lipstick I used was the Gerard Cosmetics Underground. And then finally, I'm just adding some mascara to her bottom lashes and also her top lashes to blend her falsies with her real lashes. So there you have it. I hope you guys enjoyed watching, and if you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up for me. And yeah, I guess I'll see you in my next video. Bye guys!